Hello, hockey fans! Welcome to the Hockey Flow. My name is Josh. I'm your host. What I may be lacking with flow up here, I more than make up for it with flow in here. Let's take a look at what we got on our daily agenda for today, Sunday, May 1st. Alright, so today is actually a special edition. It is our first ever video on the Hockey Flow YouTube channel. So we are going to go through a little bit of a welcome, give you an introduction to myself, let you get to know me a litof bit more, kind of know where I'm coming from, why I'm doing this, that sort of thing. We are going to hop right in and go through our daily routine. Each day you can expect us to go through scores and hot topics that be maybe making their way through the news outlets or Twitter, things like that. Today is a special occasion. We have playoff picks. Woo woo. Playoff picks are going to be throughout the playoffs. We'll do each round. We'll do a little preview of each matchup. I know we have some folks that love to bet hockey out there, so we'll make sure to give you your due and give you my take on who we think is going to pull through each round, round by round, absolutely. We will also be doing our first ever article deep dive today. We are just going to cover one article because we have our welcome, but I'm really excited for this piece. This is our opportunity to dive deep into an article maybe from The Athletic, ESPN Plus, TSN, maybe some of those pay to subscribe places that the content isn't as easily accessible. There's a lot of really great things out there. I want to share that with you. I want to talk about that with you. That's the purpose of the channel. So thank you all for joining me. This is going to be an incredible journey. I hope you have fun because I know I'm going to. So yeah, let's get right into it. First and foremost is our welcome. My name's Josh. Like I said, I'm just a Midwestern kid that loves hockey. I'm passionate about it. I fell in love with it, and I love all things hockey. My favorite teams are the Oilers and the Avalanche. I was an Avs fan growing up, but had to find my own team, right? And the Oilers, something about them. I've got my Draisaitl jersey on here, but we still see Makar back there as well. So I do love the Avs too. Don't get me wrong. It's been tough, but the Oilers are that's where my heart lies. Peaks and valleys. I have a good feeling about this year. We'll get more into that. But I'm doing this because I love hockey and I want to talk more about it. I want to talk about some of the things that I think are interesting and share those with you guys. I included some quotes here just to get you going. These are just some things that I enjoy. So without further ado, let's get right into it with today, May 1st, our scores and hot topics. So first and foremost, we had the Jets and Kraken. That was our only game today, last regular season game of the year. So everyone's getting geared up for the playoffs. Not these two, of course, but maybe next year. Jets won this one 4-3. Looks like Kevin Connor got the game winner there. But the Kraken and the Jets both, there's some good pieces there. The Kraken, I'm excited about Matty Beniers, man. That guy, he looks like something special. So hopefully the Kraken can put some more pieces around there. For our Oiler fans, it looks like Adam Larson played the full season. So kudos to him. That's wonderful. Great to see, absolutely. But so Jets 4-3. Tomorrow we should have a lot more action on there, right? We've got the playoffs starting. Now let's jump into some hot topics. These are some of the things that I've been seeing making their way on Twitter. Hockey YouTube has been a big source for some of these, but first and foremost, we have to say congrats to Connor McDavid and congrats to Austin Matthews. Connor with the Art Ross Trophy, 123 points in 80 games this year. That's incredible. Austin Matthews, 60 goals. That's incredible as well. Austin Matthews with the Rocket Richard Trophy. So congrats to those two gentlemen. That's incredible. I'm excited to see them both in the playoffs. We'll see. Maybe Leafs fans might not be the most happy with me when we see my picks, but still, nonetheless, great season from Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid. Okay, so these next two topics are tied together, and I've seen a lot of YouTube videos talking about it. I see hockey Twitter kind of up in arms about it, but Jack Eichel, is he cursed? And the Golden Knights missing the playoffs, is that a big deal? I say no to both. I kind of laugh actually when I hear that Jack Eichel is cursed. So I live in Vegas. I actually moved here right when the Knights moved here as well, or started here that inaugural season. And honestly, talking with the locals at the time, all I could think was, boy, gosh, I honestly hope you guys don't win the finals, because if you do and then don't do well the next season, maybe fans don't turn out. And turns out, they ended up losing to the Caps that year, and then just kind of continued doing well. This is the first year they haven't missed the playoffs, and knee-jerk reaction is to blame Jack Eichel, right? He was traded for Alex Tuck and Peyton Krebs, and that big ordeal throughout the year, or at the beginning of the year. But this isn't Eichel's fault. The Knights, they weren't healthy. If you want to look at Eichel in particular, according to Dom at The Athletic and his player cards, he was looking at a 2.6 game score value added, which is right on par with Marchessault and Pacioretty, a little below Stone. So he was right there. He had an impact. He's starting with a brand new team, didn't know anyone, just had a disc replaced, which first time an NHL player has ever had that surgery. I think he's performed really well under the circumstances, and I look forward to what he's going to do next year. And that Knights team in general, look at what they have. They have Stone, Marchessault, Pacioretty, Eichel. On the defensive side, if you can get Pietrangelo going again on defense, his offense is always was really good this year, but his defense was a little low. Theodore, he had a great season. Whitecloud, he had a big breakout year on defense. They've got the pieces. Leonard was hurt, so if the Knights were healthy all year, maybe that Dodonov trade actually goes through. But if they were healthy all year and Eichel was able just to integrate into it and be a part of that team, and they were just able to kind of gel before the playoffs or before this mad dash, I think they would have made the playoffs. I think we would have been right there. They would have been in the mix. So depending on what they do this offseason, I fully expect the Golden Knights to be right back in the hunt next season. And no, Jack Eichel is not cursed. Look at Buffalo. They really didn't surround him with too much in Buffalo. And the whole thing comes to a point when they won't let him have a surgery that he wants. It's his body, I tell you what, no one's telling me that I have to have a surgery done to myself that I don't want to do. So I respect his decision. Stinks that that's how it ended, because the Sabres, man, they got something cooking now. And, to be honest, the Jack Eichel trade is a big part of that. Tuck played really well. Tage Thompson, Owen Power, man, there's some good pieces there in Buffalo. So we'll give it another season. Maybe next season something bad happens to Eichel, then maybe we revisit this and do another video and say he is cursed. But right now, from this one fan's perspective, Golden Knights will be fine. Jack Eichel is not cursed. So. But yes, without further ado, now I know for my betting friends, you're clamoring for this, our playoff picks. All right, so what I did, I went to NHL.com and just filled out the entire bracket, did pick my winner, all that fun stuff, how many goals in the final series, but I'm not going to reveal that until we get to that point. Essentially, you can see we'll go round by round. I did take screenshots of it along the way, so we know what my predictions will be. If I get one wrong at the beginning, then they're going to be wrong throughout, but we'll have to make new ones at that point. But I'm confident in these puppies. So what we'll do, we'll go through each matchup and just give it a quick little tidbit, kind of give you my thoughts on it, and we'll move on to our article deep dive. So here we go. First and foremost, we have Colorado and Nashville. We're going to start on the upper left-hand side. Colorado-Nashville should be a good matchup. The Predators, they were carried, most of the season by Saros. Yossi had a great season. Him and Makar, duking it out for the Norris. We'll talk more about Yossi in just a little bit with our article deep dive. But, come on, it's the Avalanche. They've had a great season. Personal bias aside, just watching them is fun. yeah, this one should be a pretty easy series for them. I have Colorado in 5. I think Nashville might sneak a game in. Tell you what, Colorado didn't look great these last few weeks towards the end. Even my Oilers got them, so I think Nashville could probably sneak a game in. If Saros is 100% healthy and stands on his head, who knows? Maybe they steal a couple, but I just don't see Nashville getting past Colorado. That'd be a huge upset, and Colorado's playoff issues aside, I think we're safe with Colorado. Minnesota, St. Louis. This one might be the toughest matchup for me to pick in the Western Conference. St. Louis, they're good. Kyrou, Riley, Ben. This is tough. Tarasenko, Barbashev. I went with the Wild. My heart, still in the Midwest. In the Wild, you got Kaprizov. You have their third line. The third line for the Wild is Eriksson Ek, Jordan Greenway, and was that Mark Foligno? That's a giant line, and they will dominate you. So, that second line, Fiala, Boldy, Godot, I don't think we saw that coming, but that's Minnesota. I think Minnesota's just going to be too much. Kaprizov, Ryan Hartman at the beginning. Their defense is solid. I'm not sure if Brodin's going to be back, but absolutely. I like Minnesota in this. I have Minnesota in 6. St. Louis has been up and down. Goaltending's been an issue. Husso I know has been better, but I like Minnesota. I like the Wild on this one. All right, Calgary and Dallas. This one, fairly easy for me. Calgary has been a great team all year long. Tkachuk, Lindholm, Johnny Gaudreau, Mangiapane at the beginning of the year, and now. And then they trade for Toffoli, and my goodness. So they were firing on all cylinders. That top line is right there with anyone in the league, if not better. I don't know. This one's interesting. I know they really want Johnny Gaudreau back next season, and you've got Matthew Tkachuk, who doesn't look like he does want to stay there. I mean, in some ways I don't blame him, I guess, but it'd be neat to see Tkachuk back in St. Louis, maybe like his dad. But I digress. This one, straightforward. Calgary, maybe Dallas sneaks in a game with that top line, and Robertson, Pavelski, and Ropa. It's been fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of that. But no, Calgary's going to take care of business, I think, pretty handily. Again, Dallas might sneak a game, maybe 2, but Calgary moving on. Last but not least, on the Western Conference, we're looking at Edmonton, my Oilers, and the Kings. All right, maybe a little bit of a bias, a little homer pick here, but Edmonton, we've been firing on all cylinders. Kings, they've been playing better. Don't get me wrong, they gave us a couple great games at the end of the year. Beat us this year a couple times too, I believe. So, absolutely, Oilers all the way. I put Oilers in 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a really good series. It goes 5-6 games. This was more so wishful thinking. I need us to be fully 100% rested when we get to face Calgary. That'd be a great matchup though for Canada too. So absolutely. So moving on to the Eastern Conference, we're looking at Florida and Washington. Sorry Caps fans, Florida has just been way too good. Even if their goaltending is a little inconsistent, I just don't see anyone keeping up with that. The Montreal Canadian weirdness aside. With Florida, I don't know what that 10-2-ness was, but this is okay. Florida is going to push through. I have Florida sweeping this one 4-0. Now, this is the one I mentioned earlier, Leafs fans, and I apologize. We are looking at Toronto and Tampa Bay, and I tell you what, Tampa Bay, I don't know if I've seen a better team at points in the season. When they are firing on all cylinders and just humming, it is something to behold. So, this one, I think the Lightning are going to take this one in 6. I think it's going to be a really good series. I think Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Bunting even. I think the Maple Leafs are going to make it a good series. But boy, Tampa, if they start clicking, they get everyone healthy. It's going to be a good series. But they are a scary team to behold, absolutely. All right, we're moving into Carolina versus Boston. This one was tough. Boston has been so up and down. Like they have their super line, right? You've got Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. Goodness gracious. Okay, so you do have your super line. Taylor Hall's been playing really well, and you got Charlie McAvoy in the back. But I don't know. maybe it's the announcers, it's something, but I don't think Boston's going to do it. Carolina's been firing on all cylinders this year. Little peak or a little valley, at the back end this year, but no, I like Carolina for this one. I think Carolina's going to take it in 6. And last but not least, we have the Rangers and the Penguins. So this one, I did take the Penguins in 7. This was before I learned that Tristan Jarry is out for the series, so that does kind of change my mind a little bit. I have a little more faith in New York. Chris Kreider, great season, over 50 goals. Igor Shesterkin, can you beat him 4 straight times, or can you beat him 4 times in a 7-game series? I don't know, but boy, if anyone can. Pittsburgh at the beginning of the year with Rodriguez, when he was really doing it, if he can find that again, and we have Malkin, and we have Crosby, and Letang, Getzel, it's been a really good season for the Penguins. If they can get good goaltending this series, and New York isn't firing on all cylinders, I like Pittsburgh to move on. Pittsburgh in 7 on this. So these are my playoff picks. We'll do another round when the round 2 rolls around. We'll do another grouping of this, and I'll go through my picks for those of you that enjoy this. Let me down in the comments how I did, or if you agree or disagree. I'd love to see what you guys are picking as well. I'm sure a lot of it depends on who's your team, right? But okay, we're going to move on to probably my favorite section of our channel here. It's going to be our article of the day. So this is my chance to dive deep into something that I found on the internet. We're looking at The Athletic, ESPN+. Those are going to be our main sources because those aren't pay-to-subscribe places, and not everyone has access to those. So I find so many amazing articles. We have so many talented writers out there that I really want them to get their due as well, and try to share their work with as many people as possible. So we're going to look at an article from The Athletic today entitled, "Should the NHL Considering Adding a Translator Program?" Now this article is done by Ryan S. Clark, and I have to admit, I had never even realized this was not a thing in sports. Doing some research, it turns out that translators are not typically provided in professional sports, which kind of blew my mind in some ways. The NHL is such a non-North American league. Yes, Canada and the U.S. play a huge part in that. In Canada, especially, U.S. it's not as popular, but the NHL is such a foreign league, and the sport of hockey is a world sport. So the idea that folks are coming from overseas and don't know a word of English, but are expected to not only perform and do their job 100% and be a professional hockey player, but they also have to live their lives. They also have to buy an apartment. They have to get food. They have to live. And if I was in those shoes and I couldn't communicate with those around me, I couldn't do it. So hats off, literally, to all of these wonderful players that are going through that. But the article itself is really great. Ryan S. Clark did a wonderful job of interviewing players and getting both sides of the story. Immediately, my gut just tells me, yes, we need translators. That's important. These guys shouldn't have to worry about that piece of the job. They should be able to just do it. They should be able to just go out, play hockey, have fun. You have your translator there to communicate, to be able to make sure you understand what's going on. Baseball, I don't believe they provide translators either, but with Shohei Ohtani being so popular right now, you see him and his translator hand in hand. It's not that Shohei can't speak English. He can speak English very well, and it's so neat to see that he has taken the time to learn that. That's a world culture thing, where in the United States, we're not expected necessarily to learn another language. It's not a requirement. Well, other places it is. And Shohei knows how to speak English and speaks it very well, but there's a difference between being able to speak it well, and being able to do so in front of a large audience, in front of millions of people, in front of a camera. I mean, even doing this, if English wasn't my first language, I don't think I could do this. It really does make a difference. So the fact that the NHL does not provide translators, and hearing the sides from both stories within the article is really great. So you have some players that enjoy the culture shock, enjoy having to learn it through methods like TV. All the players did say hockey English is fairly easy. Hockey English is fairly easy because it's all very similar. It's the language, it's the puck, right? It's the puck, it's the stick. Like it's the game. So they all agree that part comes easier, but it's the social aspect. It's being able to ask the pretty girl out. It's being able to go talk to someone in a social setting. It's being able to conduct an interview in front of millions of people. Like those things. The fact that people aren't given the tools to succeed in those situations is kind of frustrating. But speaking to the NHL and how the game is a very foreign game, Ryan Clark does make the point that there are 26 alternate captains who were born in countries where English is not unofficial language. Excuse me. That means it's not expected to be taught. It's not taught as a requirement. But we have 26 alternate captains, and that is something that ties in. I had mentioned Roman Josi earlier, and he is a wonderful example that Ryan S. Clark goes into within the article, in that Roman Josi spends 100% of his time on the ice talking, and the majority of it is, of course, communicating. As the captain, he's got to get his team in line, but the other part of that is simply translating direction, being able to communicate with his teammates that may not be able to speak English. And I never even realized that. So that's just another level when maybe when we're having this Norris Trophy debate with Makar and Josi, maybe that's another thing to consider. What's Josi doing out there as the captain? He's keeping that ship afloat. They had a really good season. They made the playoffs. It's interesting, but it's a little disheartening that this isn't just a given, that we actually are having this conversation. But it is an interesting discussion. One of the bullet points we listed is, would a translator take away from the bonding that happens when you learn through your teammates? And that is one of the items that I did pick up from the article. A lot of the players talk about how your teammates, how it's bonding, how that's something that you wouldn't get if you had a translator. Maybe you'd be more isolated. And I understand being on a team, you don't want to be the isolated one. You don't want to be the guy off in the corner, with the translator. So from that perspective, I do think there is a benefit to that too. It's a little bit of the throw you in the lake and hopefully you can swim sort of thing. And obviously a lot of players do swim wonderfully afterwards, but there are players that probably haven't made it, and I wonder if the language barrier was a thing. So would they have made it if they would have had a translator? I'm not sure. If you can think of anyone in history that this is an example of, let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious. But overall the article was great. Wonderful job by Ryan S. Clark. A lot of really great interviews, a lot of really great perspective, but this one fan's take, I absolutely do believe that should just be something, whether it's the team just has a team of translators or maybe something of that nature, but I do believe that the NHL should provide translators. Make this as easy as possible. They are transitioning from a different country. Everything is different. The food, the culture, all of it. Let alone you're trying to compete at the highest level at a sport that is extremely difficult. So NHL, let's do the right thing. Let's get translators going for every team. Okay. But yes, so that is our episode for today. That is our article deep dive. We went through some playoff picks. This was a lot of fun. So please, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter. Like I said, I love hockey. I'm passionate about it, and I love talking about it. That's why we're doing this. But you can find me over on Twitter too, at thehockeyflow22. But yeah, until next time, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.